I can't take credit for this, but the generalizations on this sociosexual hierarchy go as follows. As an alpha, my job is to make sure everyone else has a job and knows what it is. Fair enough. Bravo, my job is to make sure everyone is doing their job correctly. Again, completely legit. Delta, I'm doing my job. Please tell me how well I'm doing it. Gamma, actually, my job is to observe, advise, and criticize how well everyone else is doing their job, including the alpha, whose job, by the way, I could do better than him. Legit. Sigma, my job is none of your fucking business. Omega, I suck at my job. They're probably going to figure it out and fire me. And then the Lambda, my job is a great way to meet new people and hit on them. So there you go. Thank you, Vox Day. That was hilarious. Hi there, LordJEG here. Today we're going to talk about the SSH again. Now, I'm not an SSH expert. I don't claim to be. This is just from my own personal knowledge, being a Delta. So today I'm going to focus on Deltaing. Now, I alluded to this in the last video, where I had been kind of put into a position of being a Bravo. And a lot of times Deltas will find this happening to them, where they will be put into a Bravo position where they either answer directly to the Alpha, or they'll be put in what's called let's just call it a sub-alpha type position, where, say, you're appointed as the head of a small group or something like that. These are both very uncomfortable situations for your typical Delta. And the reason why is because Deltas tend to just want to keep their head down, do the job to the best of their ability, and just get on with it and get to the next thing. With the occasional pat on the back or the attaboy or the raise, letting them know that they're doing a good job. So basically, if you get put into this if you get put into this Bravo position, okay, don't be afraid of it. All right? In fact, you should lean into it. And what I've found through my own experience is there's some takeaways. All right? So I'm going to kind of share these. They're not rules. They're not laws. They're just things that I've kind of come to over the years. So the first one is get out of your own head. Okay? You were chosen for this because you have the proper skill set. If you didn't have the proper skill set, nobody would be putting you in this position in the first place. It's not because there's nobody else who can do it or, that sort of thing. It's because they've looked at the people who can do it and you fulfill the majority of the criteria. Okay? This leads directly into the second part, where no one is scrutinizing you. Okay? If you make a mistake, and I know as a Delta you're deathly afraid of this because you think everybody's watching you, but I have news for you. They're not. The fact that you're still around shows that you don't make enough mistakes for them to warrant firing you or replacing you with somebody else. So go ahead and get that right out of your head, okay? And even if you do make a mistake, everybody makes them. It's probably a small one. It's not the end of the world. As long as nobody dies or nobody gets seriously hurt, it's going to be okay. So stop obsessing. So the next part is asking questions. Quite simply, don't ask. Okay? Again, you were chosen for a reason. There's no need to ask so many questions. If there are any questions, just take a breath, take a minute, ask yourself, how would I handle things if the same question or the same assignment were given to me? Okay? If you were assigned to do it X way, well, then think of how you'd execute that. Okay? It's that simple. You don't have to ask so many questions. Now, the flip side to this is, don't be afraid to use your words. Sometimes there'll be questions for you, And sometimes the only appropriate answer is because I said so. All right? So, a good example of this is look at your local Alpha and Bravo. You see how they tell people, hey, you do that. Hey, you do that. Hey, you do that. And then guess what? It gets done. Okay? Same thing happens with you if you use your words. Okay? You don't need long-winded explanations. You don't need to give them your reasoning. You don't need to give them the rules. Most people who are working with you, or in this case, maybe under you, they already know their jobs. Okay? We're going to assume that they're competent also. Okay? So people don't need the benefit of your superior knowledge. Okay? So if you keep that in mind, then yeah, you should do pretty well. Now, not going to lie. Sometimes you're going to get a little pushback. If it's an unusual request or it's something that falls out of the normal scope of things, then yeah, sometimes you're going to get a little pushback. You're going to get some questions. You're going to get some I wouldn't say defiance. That's probably a little bit too strong of a word, but you're going to get some pushback. Okay? Don't give them a lecture. Just if you need to explain something, explain it as quickly as you can and move on. Okay? Give other people the opportunity to use their experience and knowledge for themselves. Okay? Which kind of ties into the last real takeaway from this, and that's don't babysit. Okay? You are a Bravo now, or you're a mini Alpha now. Okay? Yes, you're still a Delta. You're going to be tempted to just push everybody out of the way and never mind, I can do it myself. This is always the consequence, I guess, of being the type of person, Delta, that you have a lot of experience in. Okay? So yeah, sometimes it just seems like it's a lot easier just to do it all by yourself. But that's not what you're there for, okay? You're in the big leagues now, baby. So it's time to put on your big boy pants, be the boss, and, learn how to delegate. And it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you. If you're used to being just deltaing Delta who deltas deltaingly, then yeah, it's going to be rough. But you're going to grow as both a person and in your career and everything, It may even bleed over into your love life and everything else. Because again, with Alpha and Bravo ship comes confidence, and with that comes opportunity. So don't look at it as a punishment. Look at it as an opportunity for growth. And if you do that, then generally speaking, you'll be better off. And everyone around you will be better off. Because a lot of times, Alphas and Bravos, they may be at the top of the food chain. They may be leaders and they may be at the top of their job. But a lot of times, they didn't put in the same amount of work that a Delta did to get to that position. A lot of them, they kind of either schmoozed their way to the top or slept their way to the top, or crap, some of them I know napped their way to the top, and things just seem to happen because that's just how they are, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different. Whereas you as a Delta, you probably had to work for everything you did, but because of that, you have deep institutional knowledge, and you can leverage that to your advantage. Okay? Now, does this have anything to do with gammas and omegas? Well, yes, it does, actually. Gammas, again, the SSH is fractal. It's fractional. Nobody is a 100% pure gamma. Nobody is a 100% pure omega, delta, etc., etc. Okay? So you, as a gamma, need to go back to that. Instead of using your words, you need to do the opposite. You need to shut up and not show everybody how smart you are, but if you are put in a leadership position, learn how to delegate without humiliating or attempting to humiliate or irritating everybody around you. So in your case, spell things out, but don't lecture. Okay? If people have legitimate questions, answer them, don't lecture them. Okay? I know there's a delta in there somewhere. Channel that. Use it for good. And if you're an Omega, well, dude, show up on time. Make sure you're wearing deodorant and clean clothes. And, do your best. And, things will get better. Believe me. But you have to be open to it. I know you've been burned before, and I know it sucks, but leave yourself open to that chance for growth too. And if you do that, well, eventually, takes time, you will blossom. And that's about it. That's all I got. Hopefully, you got something out of that. If you did, great. Leave a like, leave a comment, something like that. And if you didn't, leave a dislike and go away. All right? So, thanks for stopping by. Take care.